When I was 14, I planned my wedding.
This One's Wife. Absolutely hammered. Hello, I'm HG Tudor. The second part of season 1 is available to watch of This One's Wife's tedious lifestyle programme with Love Meghan. It's provided another opportunity for analysis of her behaviours, demonstrating once again that she is governed by her narcissism. In order to provide a flavour of what the series is about and analyse the various narcissistic indicators of her behaviour, I reviewed the first episode and then the second because it involved another narcissist, Chrissy Teigen. I'm not going to bother watching any more of it. It certainly is tedious. It's not subject matter that's of particular interest to me, vis-a-vis the limited cooking and baking that takes place and making crafts. They are not things that interest the ultra. And furthermore, when it comes to being subjected to her banalities and faux enthusiasm, it really is tedious to watch. Nevertheless, it is important to understand what other people think about the programme. Many of you will have decided, quite rightly, not to bother watching it, to ensure that she's not given the views. But there are those that are professional television critics and reviewers that have taken to the newspapers and media outlets to share their views. And it's worthwhile having a look at what they've got to write about her. Season 2 naturally features celebrity guests, elaborate recipes, and supposedly intimate glimpses into This One's Wife's life, including her reflections on her family and past experiences. The critics have already debated its authenticity, relatability, and cultural relevance. As you would expect, British outlets are more sceptical than those in the United States, and I've taken a look at a number of the news outlets to see what they have to say about it. The Guardian's Lucy Mangan awarded the series a mere 2 stars, emphasising its artificiality and lack of engagement. In her review, she describes it as a baffling exercise in forced whimsy that borders on the hypnotic in its dullness. It's so boring, so contrived, so effortfully whimsical that, do you know what? In the end, it does become almost fascinating. A typical instance of, it's so bad, it's good. Mangan suggests that the show's monotony paradoxically draws viewers in through sheer curiosity about its production choices, like pondering the feasibility of vegan macaroons in a multi-million-dollar kitchen. This critique underscores a broader theme in the UK reviews that the series fails to connect authentically, instead serving as a polished advertisement for an entirely unattainable lifestyle, which again is demonstrative of the lack of emotional empathy of This One's Wife, because as many people still struggle with the day-to-day cost of living, This One's Wife prances about in a kitchen which isn't even her own, wanking on about certain foodstuffs, no expense spared, creating things that ordinarily people would not be able to afford to do, nor have the time to do, but she thinks that they could. It's contrived, and it all feels like a scripted infomercial rather than any actual genuine entertainment. The Independent's Helen Coffey delivers a scathing 1-star assessment, framing the show as an exercise in emotional manipulation that leaves viewers feeling inferior. But the main takeaway word for the casual viewer, she writes, is inadequate. For how else are the rest of us supposed to feel when gaslit by a multimillionaire insisting that constructing homemade necklaces or flower arrangements is a cinch? A statement she's making from the comfort of her craft barn. When she lectures us, while grilling French toast, that it's not as complicated as most people think it is to make a hot breakfast for your partner and kids every morning. I'm merely a working woman, the journalist writes, not even a working parent, and I can still feel the burgeoning tendrils of shame blossoming when I consider my own morning ritual of chucking cereal into a bowl. And yet the show's purpose doesn't seem to be to demonstrate how one might pull off these ridiculous feats. Recipes are only half explained. Specifics of paints and craft materials aren't actually shared. It's as if they already know that no one in their right mind is going to attempt this stuff. This is an entirely valid observation. Whilst at the end of the show there is a QR code for you to be able to access the recipes, unlike many other programs, This One's Wife doesn't properly explain what's going on in terms of precise ingredients and how you deal with it. It's more a case of, look at me, I'm a brilliant cook and baker and crafter, and I'm allowing you a glimpse into my world because I'm so special. And yet, this demonstrates once again how useless This One's Wife is. We know that she can't cook properly. We know that she doesn't really like baking. We know that the crafting has all been set up by somebody else. And yet, she carries on as if it's all of her doing. Because she's so deluded and stupid, she doesn't realise that the vast majority of the audience look at it and think, well, we know you didn't do this. Somebody else has arranged it all. We know that you're not effective. But she persists in the maintenance of this illusion because it's driven by her narcissism. The Telegraph's Anita Singh echoes these sentiments from the other journalists with a 2-star review, dubbing This One's Wife the Monty Shit Show Marie Antoinette for her oblivious displays of luxury. The series is marginally less mad than the first. Who can forget This One's Wife throwing a children's party, but not inviting any children, but more needy. She prepares personalised drinks for everyone who walks through the door and sends them home with elaborate gifts. Claire Smythe gets a travel kit for her flight home that includes monogrammed cashmere socks because I want her to feel loved and nurtured even when she's left. When the Shettys mention they host a games night each Friday for 40 friends, you can see This One's Wife mentally computing how to get on the list. She is keen to let us know how inclusive and generous-spirited she is. And the series ends with her cooking a feast for the crew, Singh notes. Singh's critique critically examines how the show attempts to humanise This One's Wife, but instead amplifies her isolation, portraying her as desperate for validation in a bubble of wealth. In The Times, and I'd encourage you if you have a moment to go and read Hilary Rose's excellent and entertaining review. It's quite long, actually, but it's a good old laugh. Hilary Rose unleashes a barrage of disdain, advising viewers to start therapy now for enduring the series' banality. With Love, Meghan is baffling. It occupies the sweet spot where irrelevant meets intolerable. It's like an advert for somewhere we'll never go and aren't invited. An ego trip in a sun hat that boils down to this. This One's Wife is pretty and likes roast chicken and flower arranging. That's an entry for Miss World, not a concept for 10 hours of television. As the end credits roll and the crew having compulsory fun at a wrap party, the soundtrack is someone singing, "Don't let it be the last time." Please, let it be the last time, Rose declares. Rose's acerbic tone critically dissects the show's lack of substance, reducing it to superficial vanity. This reflects a UK consensus that Season 2, or Part 2 of Season 1, despite refinements, remains an overlong vanity project without broader appeal, potentially signalling fatigue with This One's Wife's media ventures. The Daily Mail's Liz Jones offers a slightly more nuanced take, acknowledging some charm amid the artifice, though deeming it dull. It's all staged and fake, of course. It's again filmed in a hired house near her home in Monty Shit Show. But then so is Nigella. And while you just know Nigella has a core of steel, This One's Wife really is this gauche. She calls bread making moving meditation and means it, Jones wrote. What I love about This One's Wife, she continues, aside from the fact that she makes a pressed forget-me-not necklace for Guy, her beagle, rest in peace, is she seems earnest. It really isn't an act. Well, pausing there, it is an act, but she doesn't realise that it's an act. So she thinks that she's being genuinely earnest, but you, valuable viewers, all know from your glorious narrator that it is simply a facade, an artifice. Jones continues by explaining she repeats the phrase "so sweet" often and goes on with the day drinking. It's televisual Valium, as soothing as warm chai sipped on a windswept beach. Beach, rather. Jones's mixed review critically balances criticism of staging and believes that the relaxing pace might appeal to escapists, though it risks boring others. Suffice to say, and the other newspapers are in a similar vein, I'm not proposing to go through them all, she gets absolutely hammered, with no review going above 2 stars and demonstrating all of the things that we know about This One's Wife. This is all fuel for This One's Wife because people are commenting about the programme. So, if everybody had ignored it and didn't review it, that would be significant wounding for This One's Wife. The fact they're talking about it is good for This One's Wife because it gives her fuel. The problem is, there's so much criticism of it. And she will just dismiss it. Her narcissism will simply tell her, this is the biased British media. They hate you. They don't know what you're talking about. Ignore it. And instead, it will direct her to seek out those supine publications such as Town and Country or People magazine or Us magazine, where there's a more favourable portrayal. But we all know that those are not objective analyses of This One's Wife's television programme. They're simply there to regurgitate the PR puff pieces as instructed by This One's Wife, and therefore cannot be relied upon. But that's where This One's Wife will go to. She gets an absolute hammering, and rightly so, by the outlets that I've described, as they accurately describe the banality of this vacuous woman and her out-of-touch and inability to read the room television programme. For her narcissism will deal with it as it always does. And therein lies the tragedy, that so long as people continue to talk about her and give her a platform, she'll keep taking it. If you want her to go, you need to ignore her. But for now, she's absolutely hammered in relation to part 2 of Series 1. I'm HG Tudor. Thank you for listening.